So, telling you all my secrets. Okay, how about chest of drawers? As you've been cleaning out your bedroom, you've been cleaning out all those clothes, and so perhaps you don't need all those chest of drawers in your rooms now because you've been biffing so many items and you think, well, you know what, I don't need this chest of drawers. If you don't need it, get it out, make more room in your bedroom, or perhaps you've cleaned out your closet so well that you can fit your chest of drawers that you don't really like the look of it, and you can put it in your closet and shut those doors, and now you don't have to go spend a lot of money to go buy a new chest of drawers. You can buy linens instead. So think of different ways how to do the pieces in your room. Nightstands. Nightstands should always be the same height as the top of your mattress. So if you're going to go with a taller bed, you might have to kind of improvise on those nightstands. But that is usually the rule of thumb. Think about getting new drapes for your bedroom. I can't recommend enough that blackout lining. It is so nice to shut the drapes, and it's pitch black in there, and it doesn't cost that much more. I don't know, I think it's $5, $6 a yard for blackout lining, and you can add that to the drapes you've already got, or perhaps you can make up some new ones. Like I said last week in interior design, there's lots of pre-made drapes out there that are really nice, and they can add a real dimension of warmth to your room. They can make it feel more romantic, cozier. A lot of times we just have those window blinds up, and our room doesn't feel that warmth to it, doesn't have that cuddly feel. Get some drapes and put those in there. Whether or not you pull them shut or not, it's that whole look that you might be wanting to go for. So I also try to recommend to clients to make sure that getting a little area to sit in your bedroom is always nice to have. You can put a couple chairs in there, a light, something that you can have that time out with you and God, that's your time away from everybody, and it's in the environment that you like, because we're trying to create this atmosphere in our bedroom, all the things that we really like in there. Or it might be a good place for you and your husband to sit and talk, or have that cup of tea that you're going to go do now. You know, try to create a nice little conversational place in your bedroom. I love having my friends over for a cup of tea, and let's go in my bedroom and talk. It's like, okay, we're going to do girl talk because we're going into the bedroom. You know, that kind of thing? You kind of think of different environments that you like to have different conversations in. Half the time we're sitting in the bathroom talking. For years we didn't have furniture because we were remodeling, and I sold everything off. And so all our conversations were sitting on the bathtub and one's on the floor talking. And it's funny now, as we still have furniture, we still go in there and sit on the hard floor and talk to each other out of habit. And it's just crazy. So I don't know why I tell you that. Lighting. You want to make sure that you have nice lighting in your bedroom, that nice romantic lighting that we talked about. Get a dimmer switch on your bedrooms. Husbands really think that's just like way cool. When those lights go down, it just triggers all kinds of emotions. And so that's another way of getting it to be romantic. Maybe you might want to put a chandelier in your bedroom, and don't swing from it, but just, you know... That's another look, that shabby chic look, and putting chandeliers in bedrooms is becoming really quite common, and it gives that kind of a neat look in there. Sconces on either side of your bed is really nice, because it kind of gives that little light going in there, or lights over your picture frames like we talked about. You want to create an ambiance in your bedroom. It's nice to have. Pictures and accessories. You want to hang pictures that are soothing and happy to you. I want something that I wake up to and it makes me feel good. Usually I don't have my bedroom as a family photo gallery. Usually I try to put those in family rooms or down the hallway. I have a lot of people say, is it appropriate to put all our kids' school pictures in our bedroom? And I said, yeah, it's okay to do that, but really that's your place for you and your husband, and I have a few photos of my kids, and that's you know, but I don't put that in my gallery of my bedroom. Let's talk about one more thing about accessories. If you are married, I want to suggest maybe asking your husband if he really likes those stuffed animals on your bed. I know that some of you are thinking, Oh, my stuffed animals, I've had them for 22 years. We've been married 22 years, and my husband's never said a word about it. And he likes my dolls on my bed or my teddy bears I've had since I was in high school. And you wouldn't believe how many homes I go into that have a lot of stuffed animals in their bedroom. Well, my suggestion to you, it's up to you, but your room is a place of intimacy and maturity. And so can you take this right? Because, I mean, it's up to you. But really, you might want to consider, there's a lot of husbands that women have gone home after this class and said, well, do you like my little crochet doll in the middle of our bed? And he goes, no, I really don't. And she goes, but we've had it there for 6 years. He goes, I know, I let it stay there because I love you and that's special to you. But you need to understand this bedroom is for you and your husband. So, you know, if he says, I like all those little crochet dolls, then just leave them there. But why don't you ask your husband and see if he likes them too? How about paint? You want to work off the colors of your linens to get a color going in your room. It's much nicer to wake up to a warmth in your room coming off of the paint of your walls, that warm feeling, a cozy feeling. A lot of times we have our walls painted white, and you wake up and it's so, it's nice if that's the look you're going for, but if it's that Navajo white that you haven't done anything with because you can't decide what to do with it yet, pick a color that's a little bit darker and more, that out of your sheets, and paint your walls, maybe a nice rich taupe color that's a little bit warm. It doesn't have to be a lot of color, it just needs to have a little bit of color in that paint to make your room feel cozier. You'll like it. Okay, so go do your bedrooms this week and create a fresh new look and move your bed. Guaranteed, if you want to spice up your week this week, move your bed. Okay, let's go to kids' rooms. Kids need space. Their rooms can be so full that they can have the least amount of space compared to any other rooms in the house. They need space for learning, they need space to be creative, they need space for their emotional well-being. Kids need a sense of order about their rooms as well. Yet we fill their rooms with toys, sports equipment, books, Legos, more toys, tons of clothes. And what happened? Johnny takes his little toys and he plays in his room for a while, and then what does he do? He takes the toys that he's playing with and he goes into the dining room where it's not so stimulating and overwhelming because in his room he has too much stuff and he needs some space. And we think that it's a great thing to, our society is always saying, stimulate your children, paint their rooms bright yellow, bright blue, bright red, get them emotionally stimulated and physically, and it's just great for them. Well, you know what? You wouldn't want your room those colors. No doubt about it. And we can sometimes overstimulate them to the fact where they just think, you know what? I don't want to be in this room anymore. They want to be in a place that's soothing, and they want to have a space around them. So we need to be careful about this. We also need to be careful about why can't Johnny clean out his room? If Johnny has far too many toys in his room, why is he not cleaning it out? Because it's too overwhelming to him. Especially when you're, the mom thing to do. You've got 10 minutes to clean that room, else I'm going to come in there. So what does Johnny do? He has no idea to where to put all these things. So he stuffs it underneath the bed, and he's shoving it into cupboards, and he's just, throwing all those clean clothes that he doesn't want to hang up into the laundry basket, which just always blesses me. And, and he's trying to just get that room clean because he wants to go play. Well, what happens? You walk into his room and you think, okay, Johnny, you clean up your room? Yes, Mom. But really, he knows in his heart that he didn't do a good job. He knows that he's shoved it all underneath the bed and you don't even know it. So what does that create in him? Heart of deceit? Does it make him feel good about himself? Does it make him feel like he did a good job or accomplished a good job? So we want to make sure that when we go into our kids' rooms, that we are thinking about, okay, we're going to make it to where Johnny can clean up his room realistically in 10 minutes. Because if they can really do it in 10 minutes, they're motivated to do it right. They'll put everything back where it goes, and they'll do a good job, and they'll be pleased about what they've done, and they know that they have blessed you with their efforts. So we're going to look at this. We're going to help poor Johnny out. It'd be like you telling your husband, honey, I want you to go clean out that garage, and you have 10 minutes. Your husband would look at you and go, yeah, He's about as excited as Johnny is. And so we need to think about this poor Johnny kid. So their bedrooms need to be peaceful yet fun. So let's get started on their bedrooms. Depending on the age of your child, number one, you will have to decide if he or she is going to be a part of this clean out. Like we talked about the first week, it might be appropriate for you to get a sitter or let your kids go and have a daddy day with them and take Johnny out of the house so Johnny doesn't see all those toys going bye-bye. As much as he doesn't want to clean them, he doesn't want to see them go bye-bye either, and it stresses him out. So you are going to help his emotional well-being and let him go have a day with Dad. Because when they come home, they think, wow, look at my bedroom. And they are so excited, and where is the time that a kid will say, well, where's that 28 teddy bear that I always play with, or where's this, or where's that? They don't usually ask because they have so much to play with. They're not going to miss what you've gotten rid of, especially if you're being wise about it as you go through. American kids always have plenty of toys. They have plenty enough toys to supply the whole neighborhood if none of the other neighborhood kids had toys. So don't worry about it. If they are about 8 years old or a little bit older, you may want them to be a part of this clean out, because this is also a training ground for them to teach them how to maintain their rooms, how to clean it out, how to be decisive. I have friends telling me that their kids are saying, Mom, do I like this 70% worth? I don't think so. You know, they're teaching them these questions, and you think, well, these little kids, 70% worth haven't even got to the 70% worth in school in math yet. But they understand that concept that if you teach it to them, and they'll be willing to get rid of things that they don't really think they want anymore either. So you want to explain the plan to them. You want them to get excited about what you are doing. And you can say, we're going to be moving your furniture around, and we're going to maybe get some fresh new paint, and we're going to get some new linens, and maybe we can make your bed real tall. Well, if you say that, Johnny is willing to throw out all his toys to get that bed real tall. So you want to think of creative ways to make him or her excited. Number two, you want to gather all your kids' things from all parts of the house. That might be a day in itself, won't it? So you want to get their things mostly all that belongs to them into their room, okay? Because you're going to be wanting to go through everything, and you're going to realistically think, what do they really need? So this might mean that you need to do catch up on your laundry, because you're going to get all their clothes into their room, and you're going to go and find all their stuff. Now, I'm not talking about their outside sports equipment and all that stuff, because you're going to go through that in the week 7, and you're going to clean out the garage, and you could do it then. But all the things that are in the house that are Johnny's, have him go around, gather it all into his room, because you're going to go through each and every piece. Now, you want to sort through the closet, and this includes all their clothes, and you're going to be sorting through their closet at this time as well. Now, one of the things that you're going to need to do before you get started on this is to make sure that you pull out all your things out of Johnny's room. Now, all those Christmas decorations that you're storing in his closet, or the extra file cabinet, or the suitcases. You want to make sure that Johnny feels an ownership of his room. And sometimes when we have our things in there as well, they don't take that attitude of, well, Mom has her stuff in there and who cares? They kind of can take that attitude. So you want to make sure that you get all your things out of his room and find another spot for storage. So everything that's in that room, he knows it is his, and he is responsible, or she, to take care of it. Number 4, you want to get all your boxes together, or your 30-gallon trash bags, and you go through the questions with your child, and you tell them the to biff or not to biff questions. Now, for those of you who are new to this class, to biff means simply to get rid of. It's a New Zealand term, an English term, to give away, whether charity or wherever. It's just going to be leaving the house, to biff. Now, as you go along, you're going to be asking your kids the questions. You're going to say, Johnny, do you like this? Or you're going to be making those decisions yourself as you go through. Now, don't be surprised if your child starts getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff. And it will be your tendency to say, you can't get rid of that. Mommy paid a lot of money for it. Or you can't get rid of that. Aunt Sally gave it to you, and that's a really sentimental piece. Well, to Johnny, he doesn't really think about it that way. All he knows is, Mom, you asked me if I play with this, do I want it or do I not? It's very simple and basic to them. So if Johnny wants to get rid of that brand new item that he knows that he doesn't like, close your eyes, put it in the biffer pile, or put it in your gift box and give it to the next little kid at their next birthday party. So go ahead and let him get rid of those things, even if they're valuable. Now you want to make sure, number 5, that you have enough Sterilite containers on hand. Now these Sterilite containers are 6-quart. For those of you who are listening by tape, you will know that these are 6-quart, 15-quart, 32-quart, and 66-quart Sterilite Clearview containers. Now the 15-quart is what I use a lot for kids' rooms. This can hold all the, you're going to divide all their kind of toys up, Lincoln Logs, Barbies, whatever, and you divide them up and you put them in these containers. So when they come out and they want to play with Barbies, they open this up, they play with them realistic. There's enough Barbies in here that they can have a whole day of fun. They don't need this huge container of Barbies, really. And so at the end of the day, when they're done playing, they can realistically put this many Barbies away. Or like kitchen little sets. When you go buy those little kitchen things and they have 50 plastic food pieces with them. Now they can cook just as well with 10 plastic cooking pieces as they can with 50. And so if they have 50 little cooking things, they will easily walk away from it and not put it away. But if they have 10 of them to put away, they will put them away. It's something that you have to think about. Our society is constantly gearing our kids with too much, and so they walk away, just like you do. You have too much on your plate at home, and you're trying to clean up those dishes, and they're like a big, huge mess. What do you rather do? You'd rather walk away from it. Or if there's a few dishes in there, you might want to say, I'll put them in the dishwasher and get it over with. So think about these things. Start by cleaning the floor area first. A lot of times our kids' rooms floor have so much stuff on them you can't even walk through that room, let alone try to organize anything. So you want to start by cleaning up the floor first. Get the Legos put into a container, Lego carpet. You want to begin with the closet, making sure that you have all their clothes there. And now if you don't want to catch up with that laundry, get those dirty clothes and just bring them in and put them in a pile, because you're going to be deciding if you want them. And you go through the same method that we did with our master bedrooms, and you all know what that method is in week 1. Start with the clothes that are hanging. Next, go to the stuff on the shelves, and then onto the floor of the closet. Make a decision on each and every piece. You may want to adjust the rod down if your children are still young and the rod is way up there. You may want to bring that rod down and put another shelf in there, because shelves are really important in kids' closets. If you don't want to go through that, buy them a ladder. And a ladder, they get excited. Johnny gets so excited. You say, now, Johnny, every time Mommy wants you to hang up your clothes, use this ladder. It's really fun. And Johnny will be motivated to hang up his clothes. You might want to buy a ladder for your husband if he is having trouble putting up his clothes. Whatever it takes. You've got to be creative about these things. If you have room, put the chest of drawers in the closet. If you don't like that way that looked, the chest of drawers like we did in our bedroom, put it in the closet and use it in there. Toss out all the clothes that are too worn and too stained. Get rid of all the clothes that don't fit, the too small clothes, obviously, logically, what we're doing. If you have too big of clothes, go ahead and put them into a container and put them up on the shelf. I know for my little girl, she always likes to, play dress up. And so if I have all those too big dresses in there, then everything is, we're playing with the whole closet. So I try to put those too big clothes up there and go through those hand-me-downs as well that you're storing for your kids for later. You're going to be seeing if you really like all those hand-me-downs that you have. Get rid of all those clothes that the kids do not wear, even the ones that you have spent good money on, and Johnny doesn't like that outfit, and It's always that tug of war to make them wear it. It causes stress. Give it to someone else that would like that outfit. Remember, children do not need an outfit for every day of the month. You know, they do. They probably have more clothes than we do, because after all the hand-me-downs, and what do? If we go out shopping for ourselves and we can't find an outfit, what do? We buy Johnny another pair of jeans and another outfit, and like they need another outfit. And so they have lots of clothes. So kids really only need 7 to 8 play outfits, experts say, and 3 to 4 good outfits. Now, you might think that's really small, but see, if you're going to be keeping up on your laundry, then you really don't need to have as many clothes for your kids as you think you do. And there's nothing worse, like I said, when your kids put all their clothes in the dirty clothes because they don't want to clean them or hang them up, And so that eliminates that kind of factor. You just have enough clothes of what they need, and it makes their bedrooms stay cleaner that way, and get them in a habit of putting their clothes in the laundry room right away so you can wash it that next morning. We're going to talk about that next week. So you want to get down to the basics. I personally try to hang up as many clothes as possible, like I do in my own bedroom. Their underwear or their socks, I use a Sterilite container, or you could use a basket. Put these in their drawers, and I divide their drawer up with containers. Sometimes when kids have all their socks and underwear all mixed up, and tights, you're trying to get ready in the morning real fast, you can't find the tights, they're in one of those drawers. This will teach your kids to remain organized. They know that this is for their underwear. They know that this is for their socks. They know that this is for their tights. So when they go to put it away, they know right where to put it. And when you're looking for it, you know right where to look for it. You're trying to make this easier on yourself. Now, if you want to have the plastic hangers like we talked about for ourselves, they have the little ones for little kids. Usually if these are at Display House if you want that, and they have the small ones. But you know what? I never buy the small ones like this, because the longer ones that we use for our pants work just as well. But these are great if you have little babies. Okay, so you want to go through their clothes ruthlessly. And you want to go through their toys ruthlessly. Can we all say that word? Ruthlessly. You want to make sure that's what you are thinking as you go through your children's room. You might not want to repeat that word to them, because that will put the fear of mom in them. So let's talk about their toys. If a kid plays with a basket of toys, what does the child usually do? He dumps the whole basket of toys out onto the ground. So if he's not trained to pick up those toys, how many toys are you picking up yourself? All 100 of them, or whatever amount that you have. So mathematics is going to make this very simple. If I want to pick up 35 toys at the end of the day, or I want Johnny to pick up 35 toys realistically, I am going to get rid of 65 toys. Because realistically, Johnny can pick up 35 toys with great enthusiasm, but with 100 toys, he's not as enthusiastic. I want him to feel like he wants to do this. I want to encourage him. So if I'm overwhelming him with too much, and he's walking away from his toy basket constantly because there's too many to pick up, then you need to reduce them down. They are just as happy with 35 toys. I don't know about you, but I had 2 Barbie dolls, and I thought they were just the greatest. And I didn't have the 50 Barbie dolls that our kids have today, or the Lego boxes. And, we were just as happy with those smaller toys. Or stuffed animals. Our teddy bears got well loved and well worn. Our teddy bears of today look brand spanking new because they have 25 of them. Nothing is really special in our kids' minds of their toys anymore, because we just inundate them with so many toys. And we're teaching our kids materialism and not even realizing it. So we need to be careful about this. Or perhaps you want to go do it this method. You go through all their toys, you get rid of all the ones that you think they don't want, they've outgrown, whatever. And then you divide their toys into thirds. And you get a large Sterilite container or a large Rubbermaid container, and you divide them into thirds. You put 2/3 of them away, and in a couple weeks, you bring out another third, and you put that other third away, and you just rotate it, and they feel like they're playing with new toys that they haven't had for a while, and they kind of helps for that too many toy syndrome. When you go through your kids' rooms, you want to make sure that there's a place, that they know exactly where the place is that they need to put their toys back to. Whether you find a shelf or a system, you need to make it where Johnny knows, okay, my Legos go on this shelf in this container. Or, my Lincoln logs or whatever. You need to have him have a feeling of accomplishment, knowing right where they go so he knows what you are expecting of him. When it comes to stuffed animals, I usually limit those when I do clients' house to 8 to 10 stuffed animals per kid. Well, I think that's a lot, but today's society, we've got like 50 stuffed animals for each kid. And so what you do is you pull them all out and you put this big, huge pile. And you ask little Johnny, what is your most favorite stuffed animal? Oh, Mommy, I like that one. Okay, which one do you not like at all? Oh, I don't like that one. Okay, now which one do you really like? And you play them back and forth until you get those 8 ones that he really likes. And then you kind of lead him into the other room to go see Dad. And you quickly fill up that biffer pile box. So, that sounds ruthless, I know, but sometimes we have to just do it. I had a friend that we did her daughter's room, and she had 30 stuffed animals on her bed. And every morning when she made her bed, she had to arrange all those stuffed animals. Well, do you think she was excited about making her bed? No way. You're just not excited when you're taking off your stuff, on your own beds. And I'm teasing. But I told her, I said, let's go through them. And we did that thing where you go back and forth, and we kept all the ones she really liked. And then we found a shelf in the closet that was a good shelf, and I said, let's put them all on this shelf. So when you wake up in the morning, all you have to do is open up your closet, and all your little stuffed animals are going, hi, how are you? I missed you all night. I've been in the closet. And she, and she goes, wow. All of a sudden it just clicked in her mind. That's a neat idea. All of them are always in place, and I could still play with them. And they're not on my bed, and they're still displayed. But, when Mom wants the room to look clean, she just closes the closet, and you don't see all those stuffed animals. So you have to kind of be creative about this whole thing. So you also want to make sure that underneath the bed is not a place that they can stuff things underneath. Now, I have found if I use containers or put things under kids' beds, it's always a place where they want to tuck things under because they don't want to put it away. But I notice if I don't have anything underneath my kids' beds, then there's no place to hide that, because when Mama comes through, she just looks up at that dust ruffle and sees things underneath there, and they know. And also you want to keep that as a good place for hide and go seek. We play hide and go seek a lot in our house with adults and everybody and our friends. They always say, can we play hide and go seek in your house? We turn off all the lights. It is so much fun. Turn off all the lights, draw the drapes, and then, everybody has to find. And you can hide anywhere when it's pitch black because you don't have to be underneath the table. You could, be in the middle of the hallway. And we have all our friends come over, adults, and we all play hide and go seek in our house. We have 3 different stairwells in our house, so you can really kind of get away from each other. And it's fun that way. When we moved to New Zealand, we lived with a family, and they were a very proper English family. And we ended up living with them for a time, and we wanted them to lighten up and have fun, push the teenage kids in the pool for fun and do all those fun things. Well, they never did that. And so we would play hide and go seek with this family. Well, it was the most funnest thing because you'd always know where the mom was because she would be screaming with delight, because she just couldn't believe these crazy Americans would come down and have a family play hide and go seek. So we had fun doing that. So, think of fun things to do with your family. Your kids will love it. You want to remember that the most important thing about cleaning out your kids' room is to simplify their rooms as best as you can. That's your goal. Peace comes with simplicity. A common mistake, like I said, is making our kids' room overstimulating, so we want to be careful about this. You want to remember that you have the whole house to go. If one room's too overstimulating to you, like your laundry room, what do? You walk out of it. I don't want to look at it anymore. But a kid that has this overstimulating room that has way too much stuff, where does he go? And he might want to stay in his room, but it's just way too much. So be very careful about getting it too cluttered. If your child has collections that you have bought him and he's outgrown them or no longer really cares about them, perhaps you might want to get a memory box for those collections and put those collections away so he might feel like his room's cleaner. Well, regarding books, you want to go through your kids' books this week. Books is another area that we can know where our kids are at and what they're reading and what they like to read. A lot of times we have books in our homes that can be defiling, and we don't realize it. I want to talk to you about books like Harry Potter. Harry Potter books are really, really popular right now. And I don't know about you if you really know what it's teaching your children or what it's really about. But because they're popular, I even see Christian kids get trapped in reading Harry Potter books. There's other books out there that teach kids about sorcery, witchcraft, mediums, casting spells. And there's books out there that are defiling your children. And you need to be very careful about these books. The Word tells us that we are to flee from this. The scripture in Deuteronomy 18:10 through 13 says, "Let no one be found among you who sacrifices his son or daughter in the fire, who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft or casts spells, or who is a medium or a spiritist, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. And because of these detestable practices, the Lord your God will drive out those nations before you. You must be blameless before the Lord your God." There is other scripture in the Word, thank you, that talks about the dangers of us consulting mediums or involving ourselves in witchcraft. I want to encourage you to seriously consider the books that your children read. If they are teaching your kids anything that is contrary to the Word of God, you are accountable to God for what your kids read. I know from a course that we taught last year, we talked about these Harry Potter books because they are teaching, they're opening up our kids to a imagination and an area that you may not want your kids to be reading. And it plants the seed in them. And all kids want to get scared, or they want to know about the supernatural. They're kind of intrigued with it. I know as a child, I saw movies that I regret to this day that I saw. And I don't know why my mom let me go see these movies. I don't think she even thought about it. All of us other Christian kids were doing it. We were going to go see this movie. And I had for years had to pray against those thoughts that I allowed to come into my mind. You need to be careful what you let your kids read. Don't just let them read books just because they're popular. You are accountable to God for what your kids do. I cannot stress that enough. They are underneath your household and your covering. And God takes it very seriously. So you need to really look at all the books that are in their room and see if they are appropriate for your children and if they are making your kids think about things that you want them to think about. In 1 John 2:15 through 17, it says, because we want to teach our kids to not be lovers of the world or the things in it. Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For everything in the world, the cravings of sinful man, the lust of his eyes, and the boasting of what he has or does, comes not from the Father, but from the world. The world and its desires pass away, but the man who desires the will of God will live forever. And in Deuteronomy 6:5 through 7, love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be upon your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. We are to make sure that things that we're teaching our kids are what God wants them to learn about. You are molding their character. Right now you're molding them to what they're going to be as an adults. The responsibility is great, and we need to take it very seriously, our responsibility. Teach them what to focus on. Teach them how to look on things that are eternal, not the temporal, because in this day and age we are teaching our kids materialism, like I said. We give them so much stuff. Everywhere they go, they're being given things, whether it's the cookie at the grocery store, or the lollipop at the bank, or it's the free kids meal in the In-N-Out place, wherever you're going. And we're constantly teaching our kids that they're going to get and get. Right now, they don't have to wait. And we're teaching them, if Johnny wants something, we just buy it, because everything's so inexpensive. And we're teaching them an attitude of materialism, and we're not teaching them to focus on eternal things. And your kids need to be focusing on eternal things just as much as you do. Just because they're kids does not mean that they don't need to be thinking about things of the Lord and choosing contentment in their life and not always being in that state of I want. When Tannen or Mackenzie gets in that state of I want, I say take a break. We're not even going to go there for weeks. Let's get that out of our system. Because I have that in my system too. You know how you go shopping and every time you go out you feel like you need to buy something, whether you want it or not, or whether you like it or not, or whether you even like it 70% worth. You get in this framework that you just have to have, or you could get right now. We need to teach our kids what is lasting, what is eternal, what is of value, and teaching them how to be content. Teenagers' rooms. You want to go through their rooms with them. This is your prime opportunity to find out exactly where your teenager is at. Your teenager, you can see where they're at by what they own, by what they're listening to, by what they're reading, by their notes. All the things that they have in their room pretty well kind of represent where your teenager is at. And so you want to go through this with them. And you want to see what's happening in their lives on all fronts. You want to use the same system as we have done with the younger kids, starting by clearing the floor off, then the closet and so on, encouraging them, by new paint and bedding and all those things. I don't think a taller bed will excite them too much, so that's for the younger kids. You want to make sure that you give them plenty of Sterilite containers, because at this age, they're really into having things organized. They're not going to be dumping out their Sterilite containers everywhere. And they really like the fact of being organized if you can help them in this way. Now, there's going to be some few issues that you might be encountering while you clean out their room. How about objectable material in their room, like posters? You might find that there's posters on their walls that you're not really happy with, but for some reason you have not used your authority and told them it's time to get rid of it. Once again, you are responsible to God for the things that your kids have in their rooms. I cannot stress that enough. So if they have images on the walls, words on their t-shirts, demonic graphics like the kids do. If you're really cool, boy, you're wearing those skulls and those demonic-looking faces on your t-shirts. If you don't like it and you don't think it's going to encourage them into godly ways, you need to get rid of it. You need to say, I'm sorry, Johnny, you're underneath my household. I don't care how old you are, you're underneath my roof. I am accountable to God and you are accountable to me. Books the same way. We did a ladies' room that had a teenager, and he was very much struggling. And I said, I can tell you exactly where your kid's at in 2 seconds. I said, let's go look at the book that he has on his nightstand. Now, I knew in my spirit, by just looking at the boy and asking and praying to God what's going on here, that the boy was very disturbed and was being very much tormented by things of evil. But I wanted her to see physically with eyes what was going on in his room. So he went into his room, and sure enough, on his nightstand, he had a book that was all about demonic stuff, witchcraft, all that kind of stuff, in a story form. And this is a Christian family. She goes, oh, I can't believe this. You need to watch what your kids are reading. That's where they're at. If they're reading their Bible or they're reading things that are healthy, you can tell that they're doing good. But if you start seeing a heaviness about your child, something's wrong. Something he's gotten involved in, sin in his life, something he's opened himself up to, reading, whatever. You need to be careful to look at these warning signs. And don't be too busy in your lifestyle, what you're doing. Don't let your agenda be too busy for you to look at where your son's at or your daughter. Because you can get distracted with your lifestyle and all the things that you have to do, and you see warning signs in your son and you think, okay, I'll take care of it later. Well, later might be too late. It might be embedded within his heart of rebellion, and then all of a sudden it's very hard for you to get rid of that and pray that thing through and have his heart soften up. So don't miss those opportunities that you know that something might be there and you need to look at. In the Bible, it talks about a priest named Eli. Eli was a priest and he was serving in the house of the Lord. Eli had 2 sons that he did not take care of. God warned him and said, your sons are being rebellious. Your sons are dishonoring my house. Eli didn't take him seriously, and God warned him prophetically, Eli, look at your household and make sure that your home is in order, basically, where your kids are at. And Eli's sons were killed, and so was Eli for him not obeying God. God takes your kids so seriously. They are a gift to you. They are your responsibility. God will give you wisdom how to raise your children, but you need to take that responsibility very seriously. If your children are in your household and you are not happy where they are at, you have every right as a parent to say, Johnny, I'm sorry, you can't have this music. You can't have these posters. You can't have these things that bring darkness into your life. Take your position and use it. Our teenage rooms are another area that things that can defile our home. That's an avenue that can be brought in that way. So you need to look at those, that we can defile our homes very easy with those things that they can bring in. How about the TV? 75% of teenage kids in our society have a TV in their bedroom. Do you know what your kids are watching when they close that door? Probably not. You're so busy with your own lifestyle, you're probably not watching everything what they're watching. Looking at the access that they have to things, whether it be computer or the TV. They have a lot of access to things that can really defile them. And we need to be careful about what the TV is saying to them. That's another avenue that you may want to take the TV out of their room. Sitcoms today, you know, they have sitcom. I just watched a video last year about where the TV markets. We had producers on there that were talking about, you know, well, we want to kind of put something wholesome out there, so we have a sitcom about 2 virgins, and they're going to remain virgins, you know, but everything else in the sitcom is about kids going to bed together. You know, go figure. And parents say, well, you know, it's a good sitcom, you know, these 2 virgins are really staying virgin-like. But the whole other part of it is tearing down all the morals and everything that God wants your kids to stand up for. God wants your kids to be morally pure. God wants your kids to be virgins when they get married. Are you doing and allowing things in your kids' room that is encouraging them otherwise? We need to be careful about this. Also, you need to be careful about the friends that your kids have. I know that they're not an object in your room, and we're talking about kids, so we're going to talk about it. We need to be careful with the kind of kids our kids hang out with. Good kids can be corrupted by other kids and their influences on them. The peer pressure is great in this day and age. If you don't like one of your kids' friends, you have every right as a parent to say, Johnny, Mama doesn't like this boy that you're hanging out with. I don't want you hanging out with him any longer. I don't believe he's good for you. I remember when I was in high school, my dad did that to me. I didn't understand it at first, because I looked at my friend and thought, well, she's a nice girl. I know she's trying to get me to party, and I know she's trying to do this, but Dad, I love the Lord, and I'm serving God with my full heart, and I was. I didn't ever go into those rebellious situations. But my dad realized and had the wisdom and the foresight to say, Sydney, I'm using my authority over you, and I do not want you hanging out with these friends. Thank the Lord that the Lord did that for me. Who knows what would have happened? He used his authority, his God-given right over my life to encourage me to live in a righteous way, and you have every right to tell your kids who they can or cannot hang out with. If you have a check in your spirit, and you may not even know why you have that check in your spirit, heed to it. Listen to that still small voice that we keep talking about. Lord keeps telling you things, and you think, well, God, it doesn't really make sense, and I don't logically, physically really see it. But if the Lord is putting it in your heart, heed to what the Lord is telling you. Learn to hear the voice of the Lord. He will give you wisdom and discernment. Music. Is all the things that your kid listening to pleasing to the Lord? I know that we've had a lot of parents go through their kids' music and go through them and make sure that everything that they're listening to is good. I had a friend that was telling me about another friend where her boy was in deceit, and he wanted to listen to his really bad music that talked about everything that you wouldn't want your kid to hear. And so he would burn onto a Christian CD those bad lyrics. So when Mom came up to him and said, Johnny, let me see what you're listening to, he goes, sure, Mom, pops out his CD, and she goes, oh, it's a good Christian artist. Good, I'm glad to see it. If your boy or your daughter is in a place of rebellion or deceit, they're going to find all kinds of ways to get around it. That's why I'm telling you, you've got to ask God for discernment. You've got to seek him and let him speak to you, and then heed to it, even if it doesn't make sense to you. Be careful what you let your kids listen to. Even with Christian artists, we pray about everything that we listen to in our home. There's been times where I've asked the Lord, I don't know why, when I listen to this Christian artist, I don't know why, but I just don't feel good inside about it. And the Lord encourages me, get rid of it. Just because it has a Christian label doesn't mean that it's of the Lord. We're going to have wolves in sheep's clothing. The Lord tells us to be careful in those last days. Just because someone says they're a Christian doesn't mean they're a Christian. So learn to ask the Lord and get the wisdom from him, and he will give it to you. Carefully and prayerfully clean out your teenager's room with them. They need your wisdom, godly wisdom that you give to them. They need accountability. They need to know that you care about them. They need to know where their boundaries are. I have seen so many kids' rooms cleaned out regarding rebellious kids in teenagers' rooms. I've seen their rooms be cleaned out, and it changes them spiritually because we got rid of all those defiling things. I've seen kids give their lives to the Lord simply because of getting rid of defiling things that inhibited them from even going forward in a decision for Christ. We've seen kids that are just struggling in school and rebellious in all ways, and we clean out their room, and all of a sudden, their heart changes just by cleaning out their room. I know it sounds probably silly, but it's a spiritual matter as well, and we need to look at these areas of our house and make sure that there's nothing defiling them or defiling our home. Let's conclude. If you have any questions, see me afterwards. I want you to be successful in everything that you're doing about this class. If you have prayer needs, if you want to come forward, the prayer team, come and pray with them. You might have those unforgivenesses and you say, you know what, I don't even want to go home. I want someone to pray with this for me. I just don't even want to go home and not deal with this. I need someone to hold me account to this issue that I'm holding on to, and I need someone to pray with me. I know that when I have held on to unforgivenesses, and I've asked the Lord, help me, God, to get rid of this, the Lord has showed me that you go and pray with someone. Pray with Mark. And I said, why do I have to expose myself like this, Lord? I don't want to. This is embarrassing. And the Lord says, because you need to be accountable. And then when you go and you give and you're accountable and you're praying it through with someone, write it down. If you have forgiven someone that's been a hard issue for you, write it down. I have forgiven so-and-so this day. When the enemy next week comes back to you and says, you know what, doesn't that really hurt? Doesn't that kind of irk you what that person did? And it's so easy to take back those unforgivenesses and put them right back into ourselves and hold on to those bitternesses. You say, no, enemy, I forgave so-and-so on February, what's the date today? 12th. I forgave them on February 12th. I am going to hold on to my forgiveness. I'm not going to let you bring me back into bondage and not let me be in a place of freedom, into a place that God has called me to be. I want to be free. So if you have those areas that you might need someone to pray with, and the Lord's putting on your heart, pray with these gals. They care about you. We've been praying for you guys all week. We want you to clean out your emotional closets as well. Homework this week is spend some quality time with your husband. Start a new tradition. Create a date night for you, or a date tea, or whatever you're going to do. Clean out your master bedrooms and kids' rooms. We will see you next week. Proverbs 31 woman, she's going to speak with wisdom. We're going to clean out our bathrooms, laundry room, and we're going to learn some new cleaning techniques. Blessings on you, and I thank you for coming.